Welcome to the Ignorance is Strength podcast. I'm your host, Fabian motherfucking Ojeda, and I don't know shit, but that's okay. All right, let's get this shit started. Thank you everybody for listening to the Ignorance is Strength podcast. Hope you all enjoyed the last episode, talking a little bit of spooky stuff there with Screaming Chewy. Definitely, might have that guy back on. I think there's a lot of similarities and whatnot, so definitely looking forward to that. But I'm back today with a brand new guest, and we're here to talk about something pretty important and maybe get away from a little bit of the ha-ha, but still have the ha-has in there anyway. I want to welcome to the podcast for the very first time is Tonia Gilbert. How are you doing today?
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm great.
Where are you joining us from again? So I know you're in a different time zone there. So anytime I have somebody who's not California based, I'm like, let's see where we're at.
Well, I'm not sure if you can tell, but I'm from the South. I'm in Louisiana.
In Louisiana?
Yes.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I've had people from all over, and so whether it's another part of the U.S. or another country, I really like to just check in and say, where are we today? Let's see the different people that we have out there. Now, I talked about, hey, we're gonna maybe cut a little bit of the ha-ha out because we're gonna talk about an important topic, and so I'll let you open up with that real quick, right? So what are we talking about today?
Okay. Well, basically, I am a nurse, and so just to give you a little bit about my background here, I've been a nurse for 13 years, and I have been that's just to give you my character. I care about people and helping people. Yeah. I've been like that since I was very young. I've followed into the nursing footsteps there, and I really enjoy helping others. And then something happened in my life that I didn't expect, and I'm sure a lot of people don't. I am a survivor of an abusive relationship. So it took 6 years to overcome the trauma and finally breaking completely free, I would say. Because even once you leave, you're still going to have that issue of the post-traumatic stress, the anxiety, the depression, the rebuilding of your life. The emotional trauma is very severe. And I know there are a lot of women out there that feel the same way I do, and they are embarrassed and ashamed because they leave these people, go back, and you don't tell your family what's going on or your friends because you don't want them to hate them when you do go back. Because that, you have Christmas and all these things, and you're trying to portray this happy little go lucky relationship.
Yeah. So
basically, I was in that situation. I got out, and my son, during this time after getting out of this, went into the Navy. And when he came out, he had some issues with post-traumatic stress and anxiety. Well, I got to thinking, you know what? There are things for him to reach out to. He's a veteran, so he can go to, there's different veteran associations. He can get a service dog that can help him. And all these things now, that took a while to get started, but they're finally started for veterans. And I'm glad that they have this because they do need this.
Right.
And I was thinking, there's none of this for us women, or I know there's men that get abused too, but I'm kind of focusing on women right now because
for sure.
And I'm not going to say that the stigma is mostly women, but I mean, there are men, of course. And I know the situation is the same for them, but I'm leading this towards women right now as I am a female. And it just occurred to me that there is nothing out there for women really that have been abused. Nowhere to go, nowhere to feel like without somebody usually that hasn't been there telling them, oh, you need to get out of this situation. Oh, you can do it. You just need to suck it up. You need to get over the depression, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm also a big advocate of rescue. And I'm signed up under a bunch of rescue sites, and I believe in that. And I will tell you right now that any kind of dog you want, purebred, there is a rescue for that dog. All you have to do is Google it. There's a rescue, and you can go get the dog you want, spend less money because you're just paying the fee for them taking care of it and having it spayed or neutered and them getting it healthy and feeding it. That's all you're paying for. So I do like to recommend people, if you are more looking at a purebred, please think about going that route, please, because there's so many out there. So anyway, I've noticed lately after COVID, there are a lot of dogs going back to the shelters, and people can't afford them anymore, or their lifestyles have changed. They don't have time for them. I mean, there's a lot of different reasonings, and a lot of them are valid. However, these dogs are getting put to sleep, and in most of these dogs, they don't know why they're there. They're fearful. They had a great home life, and all of a sudden they're in a shelter, and they can sense it. They can sense that there's death there, and they're probably not going to come back out.
Right.
They are it's such a blessing when you do get a rescue dog, because they will love you unconditionally, because they have been through that trauma, that a lot of them of abuse or of being in the shelter or anything, that they will just love you unconditionally and give you that. Sometimes you don't get that from a purebred. I mean, I've had purebreds, don't get me wrong, when I was younger, and some of them were dumb. I'm not going to say they all are, but some of them were kind of dumb. And you're like, oh my gosh, this dog. But anyway, I will say that the shelter dogs just seem to be really loyal, that's what I've come, my circumstances that I've had them through different types of dogs. They seem to be the most loyal and appreciative to have a home and love and food. And so I got to thinking, putting two and two together, and I said, wait a minute, I can save 2 lives at one time. Let's rescue these dogs and take them out and let them be therapy dogs for the women that have also been through this trauma and abuse and just want love and, understanding. And the two basically will come together and assist in the emotional wellness of both. So I have come up and I've started a nonprofit that is for abused women, and I place them with shelter dogs who have been rescued from the shelter and trained as therapy and service dogs.
That is really cool. I've never heard of that concept before, and you bring up, like the emotional intelligence of the dogs, right? The ones that are in, they're, like you said, they're waiting to that's it. They're waiting to die, right? And how appreciative they are. I'm always amazed at that, that emotional intelligence and what they've been through, and they know, like, hey, you did me a favor, buddy. I'm yours for life. It's really interesting to see, because you never really think about that. Some people just think like, it's a pet, it's a dog,
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. Have you seen some of the rescue sites where they will just, like, the rescues will go into the shelters and tag them for rescue so they won't get euthanized? And you should see the way the dog interacts with the person that comes to get them on the way back to the rescue. They're just happy, loving, so appreciative, that they know you rescued them. They absolutely know. And they also, a lot of times, they're mislabeled and put down in the shelters because they're scared. They're, they don't know what's happening to them. So they're like humans. We all have a different personality, and we all react to stress in a different way. And so some of them shut down completely, and that's a dog that people overlook because it's not jumping up, wagging its tail friendly. Right. Some get aggressive and back up because they're just trying to protect themselves because they don't know what's happening. So they get labeled as the aggressive dog that needs to be put down. And as soon as you get them out of that shelter, it's a completely different dog.
Yeah, you could have a pit bull, being the nanny to your babies, right?
Yes. So I'm going to take any size and take them out. And of course, they will be the ones that, unfortunately, I can't take all of them, but the ones that necessarily you get out and they don't show aggression or anything, and they would be a good service dogs. So I'm gonna get as many as I can out of there, but it won't be all of them, but I'll do my best. Maybe my goal is when this foundation gets huge, then we can rescue all of them and train all of them, that'd be
great. And so as I'm thinking about this and I'm hearing about this, it makes a lot of sense that, you would have a service like this, because as a woman coming out of an abusive relationship, maybe at some point you're just like, well, I don't trust men, I don't trust people, right? Like I've been through so much, I've given my all, right? I've put my trust, and then only to be thrown back at me. And Maybe even, they get that whole stigma where people are like, oh, well, what did you do? Right. This is probably your fault. Right. What did you do? Or, hey, you accepted that person back into your life. And so maybe at this point, they're just like, well, I don't really want to deal with anybody that's human. I don't want to deal with the judgment from family, from friends, from anybody. And so putting, an abused woman with, a rescue dog, like it's kind of like a trauma bond type of thing, right? Both have been through something, and they can really help each other out, and then that healing really starts. And so I applaud that for sure.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. And that mine was my little Chihuahua, and I had to put him down over a year ago because he was 15. He had a good life with me, but he went through before trauma, during trauma, and after trauma. And let me tell you, he knew when it was coming, and he sensed it, and he hid. But he was there for me, like afterwards and during, and he was my comfort. And I cried with him, that he went through everything. I'm just going to say, if I wouldn't have had him, I don't know if I would even be here today, because, I was that low, and he always understood, and he didn't judge me. And I guess the people that haven't been there or don't really, like animals can't understand that bond, but there are more of us, I think, that do understand exactly what I'm talking about. They sense your emotions, and they feed off your emotions, and like they want to be there for you. And I want the women to understand that, I've been down this road. I'm going to be there for you too. Yeah. And I wish that somebody would have been there for me, that could have talked to me and held my hand and said, you know what, I've been there, and it's bad, and it's going to be hard days and good days and everything in between. But you know what? You got me. We're going to give you this dog, and you have each other. And
what is the name of your organization?
Don't Lose Heart.
Don't Lose Heart. Right.
Yes. So the dogs and the women, I don't want you to lose heart, because there's hope. You can't, and you've got somebody to help you, and that's me.
Mm-hmm. As far as okay, so you're a nonprofit and everything, right?
Yes.
Do you get any sort of like federal grants or anything like that? How are you? Basically, how are you staying open, right? How is this something that you can do?
We are basically at the mercy of volunteers, donations. Absolutely. Anybody that wants to help and can help in any way. If you want to help train, if you want to help come feed them, if you want to send dog food, if you want to help the women with anything, even if it's just offering support to the women that are just getting out, we accept any kind of help whatsoever. And yes, there are grants as well that we apply for and use. And this is, like I said, this is just a nonprofit. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this from my heart, because I want to save 2 lives at one time. And these women deserve this. The animals deserve this. And like I said, I didn't have it. And I'm just blessed to be here today. And I feel like I went through the valleys that I went through to come out on this side to help those that are going through it or have already been through it now and are feeling like there's no hope.
And this is really, it's a huge thing in our country. I mean, I just looked at the statistics, and it's 1 in 3 women at some point, experience this type of abuse.
Emotional abuse is just as bad as physical. So I don't, I'm not going to deny anybody a dog. Abuse is abuse. And, I unfortunately had to deal with both. But those women out there, I'm telling you, that emotional and psychological abuse is just as bad.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that wants to can go and contact me, and that's what I'm here for.
Absolutely. Now, I mentioned 1 in 3 women, right? And so I'm thinking, when you're a little girl, right, when you're a kid in high school, you don't imagine like, hey, I'm going to grow up and, I'm going to be in an abusive relationship, right? That's not something anyone expects or, anything like that, right? And so I guess when you first experience it, it's probably, and I grew up with, violence in the home and whatnot. And so I kind of get it, but I don't, because I haven't been through it. Right. And so I've gotten a taste of it, and it's not fun at all. Right. But, I want to ask you, because you've been through this, and maybe, your story can really kind of spark something in somebody else that maybe is not seeking help or doesn't know how to cope or something like that. Right. And I just want you to, maybe if whatever you're comfortable with, share. Right. So like, when did it start for you? Right. When did you start realizing like, hey, this is not okay. Like, I can't live this way.
It starts out slow. It's almost a grooming process. I'm not going to speak for all of them, but it seems like there is a pattern. He was like very nice, and then things would just start blowing up and losing his temper. And mostly whenever his would happen was he was a severe alcoholic that was hidden at first, of course, when you're doing the dating process. And then it was prescription drugs, along with things like, the pain pills and the Ambien mixed together, things like that. So they start yelling, and the yelling gets where they're closer and getting in your face. And then they start the little chest bump and things like that. So it gets a little physical. And you're like, oh my God, I've never dealt with this before. What do I do? Right. And I don't want to do anything to set them off. So you start walking on eggshells and trying to be the perfect person. And so everything is heightened at that point in your emotions. Everything is heightened. So you're trying to do everything just right, not say the wrong thing, not engage in any way that might start an argument. Then it gets a little bit of, let me throw something at you and hit you with it, and let me do this. And then it's put hands on you. Let me start grabbing you by the throat and pushing you upside the wall. And so it's small little things before the actual big things start. Right. And then you're like, okay, this is not okay. And what am I going to do? But by then you're pretty deep in when it starts. The mind games, because everything is your fault. If you wouldn't have done this, if you'd just be better at this, if you weren't such this, and so, yeah, that's probably how mine started.
Yeah. And other conversations I've had, similar to this, sometimes it's like, well, I don't want to leave, or I don't want to, really upset what I've got going on right now. Right. I don't know if I can do any better. I don't know if I can do this again, kind of thing.
Right.
Right. And so they start to just put up with it and stay. Right. And things don't get better.
No, I basically was ashamed and embarrassed because I had put my child and myself moved to be with this person all the way to another state on the West Coast. And I didn't want my family or anybody to find out that I screwed up. There's that stigma too of, oh, you're a failure. Right. And then, of course, they feed on that, because they know that's the worst thing for you, is to go back with your tail tucked as a failure. And so they're going to throw all that in there as well. When the abuse starts, every one of your insecurities they're going to use against you. Every one of them.
Yep. Now, after, this happened and whatnot, like what did you try? Maybe some things that were successful or not successful, right? Therapy or anything like that? Or what was your journey getting to, like, hey, here's my new little Chihuahua, right? And this is what actually works for me.
Well, my Chihuahua I had with me when I met him. So he was already bonded. Yeah, he was bonded with me. Whenever he would start getting aggressive, my little dog would run and hide. He was scared to death. Once I got away, there's a back and forth kind of thing. And a lot of women go through that. You get away from them, you go back, you get away, you go back. Because he's a great person when he wasn't drinking, and he could be sober for 30 days at a time, but that was his limit. And of course, that was the person you fell in love with. And that's the person that was like, I'm never going to do this again. I'm done. I promise. You're loyal. You didn't put me in jail. You've been through, and that's what I want. I need a loyal person. And a lot of us women, the men find the women that are fixers. We want to fix them. So there's a guy that, all he needs is love. I can fix him. No, they have to want to fix themselves, and that's not our fault. And we can't take the blame for not fixing them. So there was that. So he preyed on that as well, that I was a fixer. And when I finally got away, it's a lot of years of, you have to have, like I was told by one of my therapists, when you're abused or in an abusive situation, emotionally, physically, whatever, it's like people that are hooked on drugs. They have done research and they have done MRIs and things and shown that the brain has an addiction. It's a codependency addiction to this. Mm-hmm. And you two are codependent on each other in a very bad way, but it's toxic. So that when you start to get away from this person, the brain reacts just like the brain does to somebody that was taking drugs.
Yep.
You start going through withdrawals. And when that person is still contacting you, you're still getting that little fix. So you're not sober. Just like a person that I do drugs, but now I'm only doing 1 pill a day or 5 pills or instead of 30. Well, you're still addicted.
Right.
So you got to get them completely out of your life. Once you get them completely out of your life, that means block them from social media, block them from your phone, block them any way possible of talking to you. Then you start going through the withdrawal period. Mm-hmm. And it's the same. You're going to have bouts of crying, depression, anger, sickness. It's all just the same. Mm-hmm. So it has taken me 6 years, and I withdrew from him completely. Mm-hmm. And that's where I found out I want to do something. And that's what this came about. Before, I wouldn't have been strong enough. I can tell anybody right now, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to keep bringing up this stuff and to help women. But now I am. Nice.
Yeah. And you have to go through it and experience it and be like, yes. Because when you start to overcome things, you start to conquer little things, it's that snowball effect, right? Yes. And you're like, wait, you know what? I did this. Let me do something else.
Yes.
Let me do something else. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want women to know I was there. I came out and I have had to go without, my credit was ruined. Everything was in my name. Everywhere we went, everything had to be bought by me. I mean, that should have been red flags from the beginning. I was paying for everything. Everything was my money. All my money was gone that I had saved up as, for my retirement and my son. Mm-hmm. All that's gone. My credit's gone. I have no car now. They've all been repossessed because they were all in my name, but he had to have them. So we wound up getting out, and I felt like a failure as a mom. I couldn't even provide my son a room. I had nowhere to go. Moved back in with my grown daughter. I felt horrible. And then when I did get a place, it was a studio apartment with this boy, this little boy that didn't even have a room, and went from borrowing somebody's car, because you can't get a job without a car. You can't get a car without a job. Mm-hmm. You can't rent any place anymore because they base you on your credit. But they don't go to find out that this guy ruined my credit. It wasn't my fault. I need a place to live and I can pay my rent. Well, I'm sorry, because of your credit, that may make you a horrible tenant. You're a bad person. Well, that's not true. We're not all bad. We're not all going to tear up things. Some of us are actually decent people that have had crap done to us. Yeah. And we're trying to rebuild. Help us a little bit. So I wound up getting a job by borrowing someone's car every day. Then I got a $3,500 car. Then I got a $6,500 car. And then I got a brand new little car that I just paid off, that I paid a fortune for because I had bad credit. But it's
right.
Mine. Absolutely. And I now am a homeowner again. I went from having everything and being a spoiled little brat, in my opinion, I just took everything for granted. But let me tell you, it made me and my son closer. We both don't take anything for granted anymore. We appreciate every little thing we get to, he's a grown man now. Anything that I'm like, I bought this little house. I bought this fork. I bought this. I mean, I had to start over from nothing. We didn't even have a bed. So when you're trying to pay off debts that they made, you're trying to reestablish credit. And then on top of that, buy every single little article of things to survive every day. Like we don't think of a pillow, a blanket, a bed. It's not just the clothes and the food that you got to think about. It's expensive. So that's why I know that these women need somebody out there to say, you can do it. Don't let them hold you back telling you you can't, you can. And I also know they can't afford a $5,000 to $10,000 therapy dog. And that's where I come in.
Yeah, for sure. You know, those little things, they really piss me off too. Like the whole, credit thing. I'm like, come on. Like it's unfortunate that you're really kind of just, you're hindered by a number, right?
Like, you go from almost 800 to under 300. People judge you. They think you're trash. Trash because of a credit score.
Right. No fault of your own. And you mentioned, like, hey, I paid a fortune for this car. I get it. That 20-something% interest,
Absolutely. Yes, sir. But let me tell you what, that's been the best little car I've ever had. It's mine.
And you learn to appreciate it.
Absolutely. 100%.
And so I think that's what, at the end of the day, it's all about, right? It's like, hey, you've been through, probably some of the worst shit in your life, and now it's like, okay, I'm earning everything back step by step by step. That's why you can appreciate those little things like the fork in the pillow, right? And helping other people get there, that's a tall task, right? And so I wanted to ask, obviously, hey, you've got a full-time career, right? You're a nurse and everything. So, what have been people's reactions to you trying to, do something good for others and start this nonprofit? Has it been like all positive? Like everybody's like, yes, you can do it. You're good to go. Or has there been some pushback where it's like, why are you wasting your time? Why are you doing that?
Absolutely pushback. Absolutely. People look at you like, oh, if this was a good idea, wouldn't somebody have already done that? Or they look at you like, come on, you're a nurse. You're really going to do something like this? How can you do something like this? There's always going to be the ones that I like to think that they do that because maybe in a sense, they're a little bit, they don't want you to succeed. Maybe in the back of their mind, they don't want you to succeed simply because of jealousy reasons. And I think that's crazy because I'm the type of person that if I like you, I like you. I don't like you because of what you can do for me or who you are. I'm genuine. And there's people out there that don't like genuine people because they can't control you and manipulate you. And they don't like it because people do like you because you're genuine, but I try to stay away from that negative stuff because I'm a firm believer and you put in the universe positive vibes, you're going to get back positive. If you want negativity, you can put that negativity out there, but keep it away from me because I don't want it.
Yeah.
So, they can do what they want to do, but this is going to work. I'm going to make it work. If I can get my life back, I can make this work.
Yeah, for sure. And, just pushing through and look, even if let's say, you put in all this time, right, and effort, and for some reason, it fails or you fold or whatever. I mean, I'm hoping you succeed in everything, but even if it fails or folds or whatever, right, you tried something.
And I'll tell you what, and I know I helped some people because I helped somebody yesterday, as a matter of fact. And if this wasn't meant for me to do, I don't believe she would have been brought to me by somebody that knows me and knows what I'm doing and knows she's trying to get out. She's being abused. She was filing a restraining order yesterday and she was distraught and she looked distraught and she needed some help. And the person that's helping her said, I don't know what to tell her because I've never been through this. Of course, there's nothing I can say. You've been through it. Please talk to her. Before now, I wouldn't have been able to help her because I was just as depressed and, I wouldn't have been a good person to talk to. But I talked to her, I hugged her, I let her cry. I told her the things I went through, and she's experienced the same thing. She's experiencing the same type of feelings. The emotions are there. I'm okay right now, but then you're not, and you want to go back, and there's this and back and forth, and fear for him to find her, all this stuff. And is that what I'm doing? No, I'm not a therapist. I'm not doing, but as a fellow female that has been there, yes, 100%. This is a nonprofit to help get dogs and people together. But if you need me, I am there 100%. You contact me. We'll walk this street together and I'll do the best I can.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just, people helping people at that point,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
You know?
With nothing in return, but if I help you, I want you in turn to help somebody else in the same shoes. Once we get you going and get you well, then you are an advocate. And that's what I want.
Yeah, I like that whole idea. Like, look, even if I helped one person, it's all
One
worth
person
it.
yesterday, and she messaged me today, and she said she can't wait to get going because she wants to help with this foundation.
Well, can you imagine too? Like, let's say she starts helping other people, right?
Exactly.
And
Dominoes.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and people that got help from her are going to help somebody else and help somebody else. That's how it works.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's still good in this world, and there's still good people out there. And I want everybody, I'm trying to be one of them. Mm-hmm. That's all. I'm just trying to be a good person.
And it's kind of that opposite of what you say, where where people are like, they're looking at you and you're doing your thing, and they're like, oh no, I don't want you to be successful, or maybe I'm jealous, right? It's that whole I can't stand that whole crabs in the bucket mentality, because I used to have it. I used to have that. And I'm not going to speak culturally for all Hispanic people, but like I grew up with that a lot.
Yeah.
Where and I think it's because of the way a lot of us grow up, where it's like we don't have much, and we go through struggles and whatnot. We go through things like abuse in the household and violence and things like that. And we don't know how to deal with things, right? And so sometimes I've noticed, when people are doing well, all of a sudden it's like, oh look, so and so graduated, they got their masters, they bought a house, whatever. Up until that point, it's all support, and then once they get what they get, it's like, well, yeah, I could have done that too, right? Or like, well, that house isn't that nice, right? And I've really struggled. I really struggled when I was younger to overcome that, because like it was an ugly feeling, always being a hater, always being upset, always being jealous, right? And so I'm like, hey, well, their success isn't gonna put a damper on my ambitions and my success,
exactly.
Right? All I can do is say, hey, good job. I wish you well. And you know what? I want to join you up there, and because, every time, I accomplish something, I'm already thinking in the back of my head, like, all right, who's talking shit? Right. Like who's
out? I can't wait for that. I mean, because, mine's like, I tell everybody, it's in the infancy stage right now, of course. But I feel like in a year, this thing is going to blow up huge, because it's already going. A lot of people like you are letting me come on, the word's getting out there, and everybody it's just taken off so much in the past couple of weeks, even that, yeah, I'm at work and I'm like, oh my gosh, my phone's blowing up, which is great. And so, unfortunately, my website right now is, it's being updated, but I do have a web address that people will be able to start going to whenever I can get it back up. Mm-hmm. And, that is not me. I'm not a web guru. Okay. I'm sorry.
All right. No problem.
But I do have an Instagram right now, and I have the email for it. So
go ahead. Yeah. Share it out loud.
Okay. So it's my Instagram is Nurse Tay. It's one word, NURSETAETAE. Mm-hmm. And I want to let me go ahead and give you my web addresses and stuff. So I don't want to mess this up because I'm on camera. So I'll look it up so I don't say the wrong thing. That's okay. Fine. The email address is all, you don't put the apostrophe in email addresses. I'm not sure if people realize that, but it's Don't Lose Heart by Tonia @gmail.com. Mm-hmm. And there's no apostrophe in it. Tonia is TONIA. Mm-hmm. So that's how you can reach me at Gmail. Don't Lose Heart by Tonia @gmail.com. The website is don'tloseheart.net. Mm-hmm. And you can, once that gets going back up, you'll be able to pull up some things about, again, it'll have how to reach me and how to help and how to, if you want to donate or anything like that.
With you mentioned people are kind of like blowing it up a little bit right now. How much are you planning on like advertising and going on podcasts and going out there and sharing your story and everything? Because a lot of the people I interview, they're like, man, I've been doing the rounds, right? They're trying to get their name out there, they're trying to do their thing, right? You've already done some yes. press or podcasts or anything like
yes.
that?
I am prepared to do whatever it takes. If I am ready to be a full-time advocate of this, if that's what it takes. If people want me all day long, every day, I will be there. If they want me to come speak as a motivational speaker to some women's groups, I'll do that. I'm that serious about this.
For sure.
I'm dedicating everything to it.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it's super important to you, and you really, you believe in what you're doing. And I think when you have that genuine passion for what you're doing, people buy into it, right? Because I could start something and be like, you know what, I think this is a good idea because it's going to get, even if it's a nonprofit or something, it's going to make me, famous, or it's going to make me, maybe some money down the line, right? You can tell the difference, right? You can tell the difference between those snake oil salespeople, right, and somebody who really has a genuine passion for what they're doing. And, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I think I'm a pretty good judge of character, right? So if you were like full of it right now, I'd be like, come on, Tonia.
Yeah. Well, I do. It's not just a fake profile face or anything like that, or an act. This is how I am at work. And when I'm working, I try to make people smile every day, and I try to take their mind off the pain, because I usually deal with people when they're having the worst days of their life. And my job is not only to help you get better, but to, I think that the emotional healing is important, and people need to feel like they are being not just rushed through somewhere, or they're not just a paycheck, or they're not just a hospital stay so the hospital can make money. I'm there to make you laugh. I'm the nurse that makes you laugh. So
really quickly, so I wanted to ask, so you mentioned, you can help people get a rescue, right? And so what if I'm in California, right? You're in Louisiana. How would you help, somebody that needs a rescue dog in California or any other state, really, right? When you're out in Louisiana?
Right now, I am based on Louisiana women. That's only because I said it's an infancy stage.
Yes.
Now, I am not holding this back. This is going to grow, and pretty soon I'm going to be all over the United States. And this is going to be this is going to be an organization that's going to start mushrooming out.
Yeah.
And as soon as the volunteers and the people and the word gets out, it's going to be big. And I'm going to be getting dogs from every state. In every state, we're going to be helping every woman. And like I was told the other day by someone, this is not just for the United States. They see this as being the worldwide network. And that would be awesome, because there's not just dogs in the United States, and there's not just women in the United States that are abused. Mm-hmm. So that's my goal in life. And I got to start one step at a time, one placing one foot in front of the other right now. Mm-hmm. And I have to start small, but I'm dreaming huge.
Yeah, for sure. What else would you want to put out there about Don't Lose Heart? Anything else that we didn't mention?
Well, I just want you to know that there is a song out there that you all can look up. It's called Don't Lose Heart. And let me see. I'll find the name of it for you really quick. This song right here resonates everything I'd like to tell women, and everything I'd like to say to a woman and the dog together. Yeah. And if you listen to this song, it's actually a song by Stephen Curtis Chapman. I didn't mean for it to play, but it did. Mm-hmm. So I've got to turn it off. Stephen Curtis Chapman. He's a Grammy-winning songwriter, singer. Mm-hmm. And that song right there is called Don't Lose Heart. And that's actually what gave me the inspiration for my title of my nonprofit. And if you want to go listen to that song, you will. It kind of says how I want to resonate my words to women out there. Don't lose heart. I've walked this road, and I'm going to walk with you, and I'm going to show you my scars and what I went through. And together we're going to come out at the end, and I'm going to show you there's a better life. And that's pretty much what sums up in this song.
All right. And copyright laws. Otherwise I would have popped it up on the Spotify right now. So people could hear, but they can look it up, right? They can look it up.
Yeah, you're going to have to look it up. I'm trying, if anybody can help me, I'm trying to get in touch with him. I actually reached out to him by the email and a phone number that I had for his company, It's only been in 2 days, but I'm trying, if anybody's got out there that has any kind of contact, have Stephen Curtis Chapman please reach out to me in my organization, because we would really be interested in using this as just the theme song for our foundation. We love it so much.
Oh, so you got ambition there. I'm like, okay, you want to, and that's smart, right? That's really smart. Attaching somebody, to who can really, help your cause. And imagine if this guy's like a dog guy too, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm having a feeling he is.
Right. Now, Tonia, you got this organization you're starting. You're a nurse. Is there anything else out there you want to throw out to the podcast world, just about you, or just that you're interested in talking about? Because, I always ask people, hey, what else you want to throw out there?
Well, I love to joke around. I'm funny. I actually can be quite the comedian.
Is that right?
She says I crack her up. There's so many things I like to do. I'm an adventurer. I like to take chances, and I love adrenaline. I'm an adrenaline junkie, actually.
Really?
Yes. I like to snowshoe, snow ski. I play golf, snorkel, scuba dive. Mm-hmm. I used to, you wouldn't know by looking at me, but I used to train and barrel race horses.
What is that? I'm like, I've never.
Oh, yeah. I forget y'all are from California. That's where we get on a horse and you set up 3 barrels in like a kind of a triangle pattern. And there's 3 barrels, 1, 2, and 3, 2 on the sides and 1 at the top. You come out of a chute running as fast as you can. You ask the horse to stop on a dime, turn around the barrel without knocking it over, go to the next one, turn, full speed, turn, and come out as fast as you can. And basically your feet drag the ground when they're turning, and you've got a 1,500-pound animal you're asking to do all this on. And it's so much fun and adrenaline, and it's amazing. And there's a lot of women out there that do this sport. It's awesome.
I got to look that up now. I heard barrels and horses and animals, and I'm like, wait, it's got something to do with beer or something, right? Like, I know.
Barrel racing. It's barrel racing. There's professional barrel racers and everything. Yes.
Well, that's why I ask these questions. I'm like, I learn something new every day, right?
Absolutely. You'll love it. And you got whoever does it in the shortest amount of time without knocking over the barrels wins.
All right. So, I really want to, thank you for, doing what you do and for coming on and talking about it. I really hope that people reach out, and I want to get, again, your social media out there, or your contact out there again, so people can hear it and people can, reach out to you. So one more time, it's nurse Tay Tay, right?
Yeah, that's it. Nurse Tay Tay at Instagram. If they want to, they can look me up on Facebook. I don't have a page yet for my, Don't Lose Heart, but I'm going to get one. So you can look me up by my name. But I prefer if you went with the Instagram.
Yeah, let's do the Instagram.
Yeah. So it's Don't Lose Heart by Tonia at gmail.com. Mm-hmm. And Tonia is spelled Tonia. And the domain is don'tloseheart.net.
All right, everyone. Again, reach out, let's blow this up, right? Let's blow this up. Let's make it a big deal, and let's get those women and those dogs together and start the healing process, right? But again, Tonia, really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I thank you so much for just people like you allowing me to get out there and just talk. I surely appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. And then, we might check up at some point and be like, Tonia, how's it going with those dogs, right? And by that time, you'll have your celebrity endorser. You'll have hundreds of people, talking about like, hey, this worked for me, right?
Absolutely.
So I look forward to that.
Thank you.
But thank you again. And for everybody listening at home, I appreciate you. Thank you. Fuck you and good night. Subscribe to the Ignorance is Strength podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Like, follow, and share on Facebook and Instagram at Ignorance is Strength Podcast, and on Twitter at The Ignorance Pod.